All right, what's going on? YouTube R to the double E dash to the ZON coming at you once again. And this is my second video up. And like I said, we're going to talk about a lot of Xbox news going on right now. And unfortunately, none of it's good. It's all bad. I'll just be honest with you, man. Now, before I get into all that I've got on my notes here and everything and the source article, which I will link in the description below so you guys can check it out for yourself. There's a lot, man. There's a lot of stuff going on. But what I wanted to say was, you guys know me, man. I am Nintendo diehard, and as of the last 2+ years, Xbox diehard. Not so much PlayStation, though. When they do stuff that's worth playing and worth praising and all that, I'm there. I'm 100% objective, man. We all have our biases. We all have our preferences. We're humans, so sometimes that bias slips in. But on this channel, you guys have seen me through the last, since 2007, basically, to shoot straight from the hip, shoot straight from the heart, be completely honest. I don't sugarcoat stuff. When the company that I back or the company that I enjoy and that I usually praise is fucking up, I let them have it. I don't pussyfoot around the issues. I don't, oh my God, no, I can't talk bad about this company because they're one of my favorites. No, reality is reality. You know, to quote the great Ben Shapiro, facts over feelings. Facts don't care about your feelings, straight up, and that's just real in all aspects of life, man. So we're gonna get into this. There's a lot of fucking news, man. So first and foremost, you guys know Xbox over the last, I'd say about 5+ years, has just gone on a buying spree, buying up studios left and right, acquiring studios, acquiring companies. And this is a move that a lot of people have had concerns about. Some people have been worried about the potential of monopoly and all that. Let's be real. I understand that concern, and it is a legitimate concern. But we're nowhere near that, bro. There's a lot of studios out there that Xbox does not own that all make quality games. Just because Xbox has the biggest bank and can buy pretty much whoever they want doesn't mean that they're going to be able to own everybody. And there are plus and minuses to that. Let's say, just hypothetically, before we get into everything, let's say that one company, be it Xbox or be it whoever, ends up owning every studio. Now, that could characterized as a monopoly, which is not good. But at the same time, there are benefits because every single company, especially as we move more into digital distribution and games being just downloaded digitally, and unfortunately, eventually it's going to be the absence and the complete discontinuation of actual physical media, which kind of sucks. Every single company is starting their own streaming or their own download service, their own game launchers. You really want to sit there and be paying subscriptions to 10+, 15+, 20+ different subscriptions for each company's game launchers to be able to play their games? Or would you rather be able to just go to one, pay one monthly subscription, have access to everything? So there's plus and minuses, man. That's a whole other story for a whole other day. But yeah, so it's a legitimate concern, but let's be real. We're nowhere near that. And them acquiring Activision Blizzard is not going to put us in that, at least not right off the bat. This is not a time to be worried about monopoly. But anyways, so they've been acquiring studios left and right. They acquired, back a while ago, Mojang. So now they own Minecraft. Then they acquired Bethesda for $7.5 billion, if I'm not mistaken. So that includes ZeniMax Media, Bethesda, id Software, Arcane Studios, Toy for Bob, man, so many of them. Off the top of my head, I can't think right now. Obsidian, all of that. They own all that. And then they go and drop $70 billion and acquire Activision Blizzard. Now that deal is still in the process of going through, but I don't see anything stopping it. PlayStation's incessant bitching and crying is not going to stop it. Especially when they offer PlayStation an agreement that said, hey, we'll keep Call of Duty with parity across the board and features and game modes and everything still on PlayStation for several years. That was revealed to be 3 more years after the conclusion or the expiration of Sony's contract. That's generous because they technically don't have to give you shit. They don't have to give you 5 seconds more than when your contract expires. And PlayStation's like, oh, that's inadequate. We don't agree. Don't fucking matter if you agree or not. They bought it. And they're going to have it. So be happy that they're giving you crumbs. Because they should just give you the back of their hand. But anyways. So yeah. They've acquired all these studios, man. And this was a move that I applauded. But I'm not afraid to say when I've been somewhat wrong. I am not wrong about it being a good move. Dude, acquire these studios if you have the ability to do so, because you bring all their talent, all their power, all their titles under your umbrella. They now become your first-party titles. So for a system that was being criticized heavily during the Xbox One generation as, oh, they don't have any games, they don't have any first-party exclusives, Sony's killing them with that, Nintendo's killing everybody with that. Now you literally have, like I said in one of my previous videos, you have just as much, if not more, exclusives than even the mighty Nintendo, because you've bought all these you bought all these studios. Ergo, you've bought all these franchises. That's a good move, but you can't just throw money at the situation and it's going to resolve it. You got to throw money at it so that you could acquire these studios, but then you have to have the wherewithal to lead these studios all in one cohesive vision towards one end goal. You can't just buy them and be like, oh, we're going to leave you to your own development. You have our resources and all that if you need them, but go ahead and do your thing. No, there has to be structure. There has to be structure. So that's kind of what's been going on, man. I got a list here of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games that over the last couple of months articles have surfaced. The one main article I got most of my material for on this video, like I said, I'll link it below. And then the last game I'm going to talk about in this list, I don't have any actual sources for it because I couldn't. I saw it during somebody else's video and a couple of other articles here and there. And when I was reading these articles days ago, I didn't think to write them down. I just read through them and thought it was an interesting read, and I was like, "Oh crap, stuff is going on." So that one I don't have an actual source for, but everything else in here is coming from this one article that'll be linked below. Now, basically, there's some major games, major first-party games that have been announced as far back as 2020 for the Xbox Series consoles that are in development hell. Like straight up, we got problems. You know what I'm saying? Like huge. And those games are one of them's already out, but those games are Halo Infinite, Everwild, Perfect Dark, State of Decay 3, and Fable 4, or the new Fable. All right, so we're going to start with the one that's out, Halo Infinite. Now, this is something that's really kind of bothered me about the current day status of the industry and the current process and the current for lack of a better term, the current way in which games are developed and released today in 2022. And that's that a lot of games are okay, let's be just honest. A lot of games come out unfinished, which is a fucking problem. And it's something that should not be accepted. Yeah, we accept it because we're gamers and we're stupid. We all are. I am too. I'm not just dissing you guys. It's all of us. We're dumb because we have to have the game. No matter what state it's in, we end up buying it and supporting them. So they're making money. So why the fuck would they stop? But a lot of games come out unfinished. And some games, like this particular Halo, I don't believe was quote unquote unfinished. But I believe it could have had more content. That does not mean unfinished. Unfinished is like, it's barely playable. That's unfinished. But it did need more content. Halo Infinite launched, and it was basically the campaign and multiplayer, which is fine if multiplayer would have been more fleshed out and had more options and variety within it, which we all know it did not. So one of the latest developments with Halo Infinite that's disturbing and it's discomforting. If you have any faith in the game, I enjoy Halo Infinite. I go back and play multiplayer from time to time. I really enjoyed the campaign. I'm not one of these people who are going to act like they're blind and say, "Oh, it looks like a last gen game." It does not. It does not. It looks gorgeous. It looks fucking gorgeous. It does not look like a last gen game. Good. If you honestly think that, make your appointment with the optometrist ASAP because something's wrong. But like I said, the multiplayer was kind of bare bones. You had your quick matches, which were smaller arena-based 4-on-4 affairs, and they had Slayer, the for lack of a better name, the one with the skull with the ball. Whoever holds that longer, whatever team holds that longest wins, and then they capture the flag and stuff like that. Then you had your big matches, which was the 12-on-12 bigger map battle, 12-on-12. What's the word? Death matches. Whether it was Slayer, capture the flag, things like that. Those were epic, and those are still fun. But you had a limited number of arenas, or, of maps. You still do. It took forever for Season 2 to come around, and when it finally did, it didn't really bring all that much that we cared for. We're all still waiting for online co-op to play through the campaign. And one of the staples, and this should have been there from launch, that they've been promising us was going to come, has now been canceled. They're not doing it. And it's bullshit, because that shouldn't even have to have been something that you were working on today. That should have launched with the finished game. And that was split screen co-op. Local co-op right here at home. There's no reason why that couldn't be included in the finished version of the game. And this is just me going off my gut feeling. But when things like that are not included in the game, but are talked about coming out later, to me, that's that you want to like basically stretch it out and make more money off the game later and ongoing into the future instead of giving us a full product right then and there and then adding extra stuff to it later. That's different than saying, oh yeah, later on we're going to give you features that should have been in the game. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's Halo Infinite is, once they said that they're canceling split screen co-op, to me, I was like, I'm not like other YouTubers that are like, oh, Halo Infinite's dead, that's it. No, it's not. People are still playing it. But that is a blow for the overall quality of the game. And for diehard Halo fans that have been wanting that should have been in there since day one, now it's canceled. That shows that you're having some internal trauma, some internal turmoil within the studio itself. So that's a problem. Now, we're going to go on to other games with a lot more detail. And you can check this article that I'm linking below to see and verify that everything I'm saying is coming straight from there and from these sources. What the fuck ever happened to Everwild? Does anybody know? Has anybody? Everwild and Metroid Prime 4, they're kind of like kindred spirits, man. I mean, like, announced, and that's it. It was announced back in 2019, right? Rare's latest project. Now, you know me, I love Rare. And am I going to sit here and tell you that Rare today is the Rare of old, the Rare from N64 that was just dominant? No. A lot of them left and formed Playtonic Games that made the Yooka-Laylee series and other development studios. But a lot of them left, but they still have very talented developers there. And Sea of Thieves is an unmitigated success. But Sea of Thieves suffered from the same problem that all these games in the modern day are suffering from. When it came out, it was bare bones and it was barren. And it took them months, if not years, of adding extra content, a lot of stuff that should have been there on day one, and then some really cool extra stuff. I'm not slamming on them completely, but a lot of that stuff, like a lot of the stuff that came in the earlier seasons of Sea of Thieves, should have been there from day one in the launch of the product, and they weren't. And that's why it had such a negative reception when it first came out. People were like, yeah, it's a beautiful game, but it's empty. Nobody's playing this shit. There's nothing here to do. And then they started adding stuff, and again, they also wanted to make this a live service game. I don't think they've ever been, shy about stating that and showing it through their actions. But the game is phenomenal today. It has been phenomenal for a good 2 years now. But at launch, it was hot trash. Nobody cared because there was nothing there. Then they show off Everwild. Beautiful, beautiful art style. That was in 2019. We're in 2022, almost 3 years later. We still don't know what the fuck the game is. Now, if us as consumers and us as gamers and fans don't know what the game's about, that's not a big deal. That might be cause for concern, but a lot of the time studios are being secretive and keeping their cards close to the chest because they're still finishing stuff off. Like, look at Breath of the Wild 2. We know that game is far along in development, if not almost done, from everything they've shown. But we still didn't have a fucking title for it. That's Nintendo being secretive and not wanting to, play their hand until it's time. That doesn't mean that game is in trouble. But when the studio itself making the game doesn't know what the fuck the game is even going to be 3 years in, that's a problem. So here, basically Everwild was announced in 2019. It's Rare's latest project. Now, it started off with less than 50 people involved in the development. Now, for an indie game, that's not a big deal at all. But for a AAA big budget game from a big time developer, you got less than 50 people working on this motherfucker. That's a little iffy. Then it reportedly got rebooted in 2021. So you announced it in 2019. And less than 2 years in, about 2 years in, you have to restart the entire process. Metroid Prime 4, anybody? That's a huge red flag. That's not even a red flag. That's like a landmine that they stepped on and the shit went off. It gets rebooted in 2021 after the departure of their creative director. So the creative director of the project left 2 years in, and then they got to reboot it. So let's just basically say that those 2 years of whatever development they did whatsoever, even if it was just pre-development, which most likely it was, down the toilet, out the window, gone. Starting from scratch. Man, VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb reported that development was, quote unquote, a real mess. He reported this in January of this year, of 2022. He also said that Rare doesn't know exactly what the state of it is. They're still figuring that out, and it's a mess. This is not just me using colorful descriptions. The people working on that game don't really know what's going on with that game. That's how much of a mess it is right now. That is a direct quote from Jeff Grubb. When, like I said, when us as gamers don't really know what's going on with the game, that's not really cause for concern, because it's not our place to know until they want to tell us. But when you're getting reports that the actual people working on the game years into the process don't know what's going on, bro, that's like DEFCON 4. That's Armageddon. Like shit is going down. It goes on. Basically, I mean, sorry, it doesn't go on. That's basically all we have about Everwild. But yeah, like that is a real problem, bro. Like you're working on this for a number of years. It was announced at this point 3 years ago. You have to restart it 2 years into the process. And now in the current day, the people working on it don't even know what's going on with it. This game is flirting with cancellation. The way I'm looking at it now, it's flirting with real murky waters, man. Like this might not even come out. We go on to another game, a game that I was excited for, a game that a lot of us were excited for when they first revealed it at the Game Awards, when they first revealed the Series X. Perfect Dark. Now, this was originally being developed by The Initiative. Microsoft, gave it to them, said, let's do a reboot. Joanna Dark is back. Let's go with it. Now, it was originally announced in December 2020. Now, check this out. February 2021, 2 months later, the design director, Drew Murray, left. So your design director, basically one of the overseers of the entire development process, says, deuces, I'm out. He leaves. More departures follow that in the subsequent months. And now the game director, Dan Newberger, hopefully I'm saying his name correctly, Dan Newberger, left just last month. So you've lost your director, your design director. You lost your game director. This game has no direction at this point. They're all gone. This was just last month that the game director, Dan Newberger, left. Right? VGC has revealed that 34 people have left the studios in over the past 12 months. That was roughly half of the core development team. Then it says that development has been described as painfully slow. Like this is going at a snail's pace. It ain't going nowhere. It's not making any progress. And then there was also a report that the departures. It was reported by Jez Corden. I'm sorry. Jez Corden of Windows Central reported that all those departures stem from a big disagreement, quote unquote, big disagreement on studio structures when Crystal Dynamics was brought in. So the initiative wasn't getting shit done, basically, for whatever reason. Departures and all that. Like their game director left, the design director left, all that shit. Then Crystal Dynamics is brought in to help them, and there's a huge clash. And I read in another article. I wish I would have had that article with me, but I read in another one earlier this week that the clash was not only over structure but over cultural differences and what they wanted to do. And that's kind of mentioned in this article. It's mentioned here that give me 1 second. Basically, the initiative kind of wanted to do things in here we go. They were initially set up to have a flat structure with the idea of remaining small and developing high quality indie games. That was like the initiative's take on things. Bro, but once you're given something like Perfect Dark, that's not a small indie game. This is a big AAA game. And Crystal Dynamics is like, yo, we're doing this big and we're doing it this way. We were brought in to help y'all. We're doing it this way. So that's where, the clash happened. And a lot of people left as a result of that. But, so that's not good at all, man. Basically, so this is another game that is a game Xbox players have been waiting for, have been anticipating for the last 2+ years. Again, in development hell, not making any progress. Again, Metroid Prime 4 territory. Game was announced and revealed in 2020 when the Series X was revealed, and we haven't seen a fucking screenshot or trailer or nothing since. That's never a good sign, man. That's never a good sign. So that's another one, bro. And now this one really hurts me. This one really hurts me because this was my favorite Xbox franchise until I got hooked on Sea of Thieves, and that's State of Decay. State of Decay 3, bro. It was shown off in the Series X E3 2020 show. Nice, lengthy cinematic trailer. Beautiful looking. But again, this is cinematics. This is a pre-rendered cinematic showing just a little glimpse of what State of Decay 3 was going to be. And you had that crazy like zombified deer eating the wolf and all that, and The game looked amazing. Like that theme, that thematic representation of what the game was shooting for as far as atmosphere and vibe was awesome. And I could not wait because State of Decay 2 was awesome, bro. I love that game. So I'm super hyped about this game, as I'm sure a lot of Undead Labs fans and Microsoft fans are. And now here we're hearing, basically, here's what's happening with State of Decay 3. The studio head, Jeff Strain, left. So the boss walked out, said, out. Philip Holt was hired in his place to lead the company. Kotaku has reported that the studio's own management caused a turn for the worse, meaning the way that they were doing things internally in the studio. If this wasn't Microsoft's fault, this wasn't, this was Undead Labs' fault. Because Microsoft, like I said at the beginning of this video, their hands-off approach is not the best way to go. Not always. Sometimes you have a real trusted developer. You say, hey, okay, we bought you. You're part of our family now. You got our resources at your disposal. Whatever you need, you let us know. But we're going to let you be you and let you do you. With a trusted studio, with a trusted, proven developer, you do that. Like right now, if God forbid, but like if Microsoft were to buy Nintendo, right? And Shigeru Miyamoto's working on a game. Microsoft is not going to jump in and micromanage Shigeru Miyamoto. Mr. Miyamoto, welcome to the family. Bro, do your magic. Do your thing. You're going to step out the way, let you do your magic because it's proven. Undead Labs is a small indie development team that made 2 great games, State of Decay, State of Decay 2. But they're a small team, relatively unproven. 2 great games, that's awesome, that's good. That's not a huge resume. You don't have a hands-off approach with them. You have an approach where you jump in and you manage them. You let them do them, but you're managing them, overseeing things, not letting them try to get too ambitious when they're not able to do it, not letting them slack either, keeping them to deadlines, keeping them to schedules. You know what I'm saying? Microsoft was very hands-off. And because of their hands-off approach, Undead Labs is basically imploding. Like, I don't want to say imploding, that's a strong language, but it's their own decisions and their own movement within this development process that's fucking things up. That's what Kotaku reported. Then supposedly pre-production began in 2018. So 2 years before it was shown. And then the teams within Undead Labs and the development, they're facing reorganizations, meaning they were being shuffled around. And I can speak for that from experience at my own job right now where I work. I hate that shit. And that's something that makes me loathe going to work at this particular company every day, because it's like you have teams and you have positions and titles. If you are in this position, you are in this department, this is your job. Your job should have a set SOP, a set description, a set requirement of tasks and responsibilities that you are responsible for. And that is concrete and does not change. That is routine. That is every day. Yeah, every once in a blue moon, depending on emergency situations or whatever, you could be moved or tasked with something extra here or there, whatever. But for the most part, your job is your job. Your team is focused and put on completing their task. When you're constantly reshuffling them around and moving them, I can tell you from experience, I lose the desire to fucking do anything more than just try hard enough to not get fired. You're not getting my all. Why am I going to give you my all when I'm giving you my all on this task? And before I can even prove myself on this task and show you my work, you're changing me to something else and something else and something else. So they're facing that. And they're also, where to say, okay, yeah, they're facing reorganizations and reports of mistreatment. So you already know where this is going. Activision Blizzard type of shit. You know, many other companies we've seen. Nintendo's been rumored in this lately. Harassment, mistreatment, things of that nature. Those reports were denied and dismissed by the head of HR from Undead Labs when this was reported firstly. Nothing to worry about, nothing to see here. In 2020, the announcement for the game was made, like I told you, at the Xbox E3 showcase. It looked awesome, but the announcement was made when the studio did not even know what the game would be. And not even knowing if the game would have that zombie deer that you saw in the trailer, or I'm guessing when they mention that, they're not just mentioning the deer specifically, but that twist or that mechanic in the story that, you know, now animals can get infected. They didn't even know if that was going to be in the game, and you showed that off in the trailer. You showed the trailer when the team wasn't even sure about the direction of the game or what they were shooting for. Now that is Microsoft's fault, right? Because Microsoft is the one making the decisions on what gets shown in their showcase. Period. So that's Phil Spencer, that's Microsoft. You guys fucked up there. You do not show something before you are ready to. Nintendo with Xenoblade Chronicles X showed it off in like 2013, or I forgot when they showed it off, but it took years for it to finally come out. You don't do that. You don't do that, because it's one thing to give it a certain window of time from announcement to release to market it and to build it up and build the hype and the fervor for the game. But if that period of time goes on longer than it should, people start to lose enthusiasm, because it's like, yeah, we've known about this game for years now. You know? So they showed it off when it wasn't ready to be shown off, basically. The studio didn't even know what the game was going to be. They didn't know the zombie deer or that kind of theme was going to be in the game. And today, it's still in pre-production after Microsoft had to get involved after more reports of mistreatment last summer. So as we stand here today in 2022, the game is still in pre-production. And Microsoft finally had to get involved and say, fuck the hands-off approach. We got to get in here and handle this, because there's even more reports of mistreatment. And as a result of that, the head of HR quietly left. So the head of HR dismissed the mistreatment claims at first. Nothing to see here. Move along. The reports keep happening, and Microsoft is like, yo, this is making us look bad. This game should have been further along. We can't have employees at any one of the companies that we own being mistreated. We got to get in this. And then the head of HR, once Microsoft gets involved, is like, bye. And on top of that, several developers from the team have left. So it's just like, it's a disaster, bro. It's a disaster across the board. There is no sugarcoating this, man. Like I said, I'm an Xbox guy. I'm a Nintendo guy. I'm an Xbox guy. This is not good. This is not good. And I'm not saying that I feel like I backed the wrong horse. Like, remember when I said when they bought Bethesda, when they bought Activision, and the experiences I'm having with Game Pass, and ever since I bought my Series X, I've had confirmation after confirmation to me personally that I have bought the right system, because I was making a decision between PS5 and Xbox Series X as to which one to get first. You know, if PlayStation shows me something worthwhile, eventually I'll get that console too and have them both. I don't have a problem with that. But as of right now, PlayStation hasn't shown me anything. You know, they have their exclusives, and that's one thing I'll give them props. They have had, whether I enjoy them or not, they have had exclusives come out for their console. You know, like first party exclusives. Whereas Microsoft has had a few, but not much. They've had a consistent string of them. So they're doing their thing. This is a fucking disaster. This is the first time, I don't feel like I bought the wrong system, but this is the first time I'm like, oh shit. Yo, Microsoft, I was willing to wait 2 years or so for your exclusives to start hitting. But now these games ain't ready. These games ain't gonna be ready for another 2 years. I'm talking about 4 or 5 years into your console before you start actually showing us the fruits of those studio acquisitions. That's a fucking problem. And the last game I'll talk about is Fable 4. The only thing I know about the issues with that game going on right now is that Playground Studios, is that their name? I feel like I'm saying their name wrong. The developers of Forza. It's Playground Studios, right? Or Playground Games. They are the ones that make the Forza games, Forza Horizon games and all that. They were the ones given the opportunity to work on Fable 4. Now, this is a mistake on both Microsoft's side and Playground Games side. It's not, the blame isn't exclusively on one side or the other. It's both of them. And I say that because Playground Studios respectably, wanted to diversify their portfolio. I'm always in favor of that, dude. I'm always in favor of that because it shows ambition, it shows drive, it shows motivation. They don't want to just be known for one thing. They cannot be touched in racing. Forza, for the better part of the last, I want to say, and honestly, like not fanboying it, just being honest from the reviews and the fanfare of the games of both franchises, Forza has kicked the shit out of Gran Turismo for a good 4 years now. Easy. You know, for a while now. Forza Motorsports has been more favorably reviewed, but even more than favorably reviewed, has just been more favorably backed by fans of the racing simulation genre than Gran Turismo for a while now. And Forza Horizons is quite possibly, I've only played 4 and 5. I didn't play 3 or any of the other ones. But from what I've seen, looking at the history of those games and what I'm experiencing with them now, there is no open world racing game that can touch them. I mean, Forza Horizon 5 is an open world racing, not sim. It's more of an arcade. It's a blend between arcade and sim. But it's not as serious on the simulation side as like, Gran Turismo or Forza Motorsport. It is still a more fun and overall more backed by the players game than Gran Turismo 7 that just came out. Forza Horizon 5 is one of the few games across both platforms, as I've said before, that has come out in the last in this generation that actually looks like a current gen experience. A lot of these other games that have come out can be done and look like they can be done on the previous generation console, the Xbox One or the PS4. And I'm not sure. I don't know if Forza Horizon 5 is available on Xbox One. I think it is available on Xbox One. But you can see the graphical enhancements were from frame rate to clarity to resolution to everything. When you play it on your Series X or S, it looks like a current gen, or for that time, it looks like a next gen experience. Very few games today do that. The Demon's Souls game on PlayStation 5 does that. I'm not going to say Miles Morales does that because it just looks like Spider-Man, which was on PS4. And Miles Morales is on PS4, so, But, the Demon's Souls game does that. Ratchet and Clank graphically does that. So, you know what I'm saying? But they own the racing space. But they wanted to diversify. They wanted to say, hey, we want to make something new. Something different, bro. We want to test our chops. You know what I'm saying? Test our metal. Let's tackle Fable 4. Now, this is an open world action RPG. Whole different world. Whole different beast when it comes to game development. And they bit off more than they can chew. Because there's reports happening that are coming out that they're having a lot of trouble. They're coming to the realization that they don't have any experience whatsoever with making an open world that you walk through and progress through slowly. They're beasts at making vivid, lifelike open worlds that you race through at 300 kilometers per hour. But it's a whole different beast when you're walking through the countryside or when you're walking into a cave or you're battling, hordes of enemies and things like that. The storytelling dynamics, all these things they have no experience with, and it's rearing its ugly head right now. Their lack of experience in this, and it's hurting the development of the game. And it's Microsoft's fault as well, because while I could respect, if I was your boss, and I could respect you wanting to take on something new, I'm not just going to throw you into it and hope for the best. I'm going to say, yo, I appreciate that. Slow your roll a little. I appreciate that. You want to get experience, or you want to work on something like this? All right, I'm going to start getting you the experience to make you capable to do that. So I'm not going to put you in charge of developing the next Fable game. We're going to let the original developer of Fable do that. But we're going to sign you on board with them to help out, and so that they can walk you through this and you can help alongside the ones really developing, and you can learn, and then you'll have that experience so that when you want to do something like this later on, it's more feasible. They didn't do that. Again, hands-off approach. Yeah, sure, you guys want to do it. Go ahead, have fun. Now it's in trouble. So all these games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of them is out, Halo Infinite. The other 4 are still to come. Oh, and then there's also reports about Avowed, which everybody's dying for. It's like the next fucking Skyrim, basically. That's supposedly in a lot of development trouble as well. It's just not looking good, man. So that, like I said, I'm objective, man. I'll sit here and I'll laugh at Sony, not Sony players. I always make that distinction. At Sony, when they fuck up and when they bungle things, because they're a very anti-consumer company. They've shown it again, and we can make a whole other video on just in the last couple of like in the last year on their anti-consumer decisions. They have them looking really bad right now, even with their own players and with their home country, with their home base, by the way. But I can laugh at them when they fuck up things. But I'll be damned if I'm not going to call a spade and laugh at myself and laugh at Microsoft when you're fucking things up too, man. Right now, the only one that seems like they got their eye on the ball, strangely enough, is Nintendo. Because whether I agree with some of their decisions or not, or the direction at certain points or certain things that they do with the Switch, they have games coming out. And aside from the latest reports of, harassment and things like that going on at Nintendo and, discrimination and things like that, which those things got to get ironed out. If those things are happening, Nintendo needs to be held accountable and they need to deal with it. But aside from that, they've been rolling along. Their games are coming out. Battle League just came out. Splatoon 3 just came out yesterday. So they're they're moving. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 came out recently, and now we're heading towards Bayonetta, and they're boom, boom, boom. They're on the ball. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully Microsoft can get this resolved, man. It's a lot of drama. It's a lot of negative shit going on. And what I can't stand, and it's not just every company does this, but it's, and I love Phil Spencer, but it's Phil Spencer and it's Microsoft. Every time something like this comes out, it's like, oh, that's not as big a deal as they're making it seem. It's very overblown, very overstated. You guys don't worry about it. We got it. And then more shit comes out and more shit comes out showing, hey, stop bullshitting. Stop PR, stop damage controlling. Address the fucking issue. And you don't have to be fully 100% transparent with your fans, because no company's going to do that, because it's dangerous to do that. I get that. But give a little bit more transparency and being like, hey, look, yeah, this is a growing concern for us. And you can rest assured we're going to do everything we can to get on top of it and squash this. And then actually do action that shows that you're doing that. Stop bullshitting. Stop nonchalant, Don't do the overconfident company on top thing. Because number one, you're not on top. You're not on top. You're awesome. I love Xbox. And no one's going to tell me that PlayStation right now has a better value and better gaming experience than Xbox. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Even with their exclusives that have come out, where Microsoft is lacking in exclusives, just the overall gameplay ability and gameplay offerings and selection through Game Pass and their better online network and all that, Microsoft has the best value. But you're not on top. You're not selling the most. You're not on top of the world. It's Nintendo on top right now, and PlayStation's right behind them. And you're literally like catching up, and you're right behind PlayStation. But you're not on top. So don't do that. We're on top confidence shit, because that burns. Even when the company is on top, they adopt that attitude. It burns them in the ass. We've seen it time and time again. So please don't do that, Microsoft. Get the shit together, man. Get your head in the game, and stop all this nonsense. Anyways, that's been this video. Like I said, I will link the article below in the description. Yeah, man. I hate reporting on negative news like this. But like I said, as we go forward in the structure of this channel, like I said, it's going to be 2 videos at the beginning, 2 videos weekly. I'm doing that now, but I'm getting it. This will probably be the first one that's news related. I'm getting it into the format where it's one video will be news, gaming news from across the industry, and the other video will be just random thoughts and discussions and musings within the gaming industry from myself, and and what I'm into and what's going on and what I feel about this and all that. And of course, we'll invite all your comments and questions and agreements, disagreements, your input, your 2 cents in the comment section and all that. And that's how we're going to grow this channel at the beginning, until I can get monetized and be able to do live. And when I do live, we can go back and forth in real time, which I'm looking forward to that, man, because I really love, I'm not a social guy, dude. I'm very introverted, but we talking video games, that goes out the window. We could all have a blast, man. And I can't wait to go back and forth with you guys, man. So anyways, man, that's been this video. Very, very concerning news as far as Xbox goes. But Xbox, just like Sony, just like Nintendo, the big 3, these companies have been around a while now. They've been doing this video game thing a while. There's nothing in me that makes me think, or nothing here that makes me think that they can't regain control of this and fix it. So it's just a matter of them doing it. Anyways, man, God bless y'all. Stay gaming. Peace.